Okay, everybody. I gotta make sure I'm on the right camera. I think I'm on that one over there. Oh, I tell you guys, doing the stream and getting things set up, I can really quickly tell you why people set up a certain room just to do the stream. That way, they're not constantly hooking everything up each stream. And that's part of the problem. Well, I think I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot as far as it's probably not a good way to learn, but being able to tear this down and hook everything back up to where it works again and everyone can hear me, it's a lot. It really is. You know, you always forget something. And that reminds me, I want to double check the wing and make sure that I have the computer. See the computer loop. I need to turn the computer feed back to the wing off, especially when we're demoing things. I see. I'm going to go through people that I see. I see Timothy 70 just came in, of course, with the real Queen Linnell, the significant other. C.D. Nelson is in here. Time Surfing Alien. Good to see him. Just so everyone knows, Time Surfing Alien is a winner on this channel. He won I'm pretty sure it was the Jet guitar. So he has walked away from here with a free $600 instrument. And we also have Kurt Studio has posted. And of course me, I posted. So that's everyone that I see. Oh, I think that's Nicholas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Nicholas just came in. Wicked Fester just came in. I want to try to be a little bit more, especially on Saturday night. Saturday night is supposed to be just us getting together and talking. So I really want to get better at reading the chat and talking with you guys. 100%. That's what Saturday night's about. I do have something to talk about, though. Everybody here kind of picks on me because I play Linnell's guitars a lot. She has some nice guitars. And why not play them? Okay. If she wants to play one of my guitars, she could play one of my guitars. I mean, over here, I don't have the camera on it. She has made in Japan Ibanez. It's an RG. And then right next to that, she has her Ibanez Gym that it's pretty funny. Brian over at Searching for Tone sent me a orange Gym to do a review. At the time, he wasn't doing too many reviews. I guess he was watching me and just figured he'd send it to me since it had a Floyd Rose bridge. We did a review on it, and I was talking to him, and he was like, well, I'm going to give the guitar away. So my contribution to the whole giveaway that Brian did was I did a complete rework of the neck on that guitar and then sent it back to him. But Linnell slept in that morning. When she come out, I was working on the video, and she saw this neon orange Ibanez sitting there, and she goes, "Oh, I gotta have it."
It's pink.
Is it pink? I don't
Yeah.
think it's pink.
Yes, it is. It's pink.
Well, now tonight she's barely audible. The other night she was so loud it wasn't even funny. So I'm not really sure. Earlier her mic, there was a lot of noise in her mic. So I'm really not sure what's going on there. Her mic, she's in the kitchen, just so everyone knows. So I struggle more with her microphone than any of the others because it sits up on the table, and some nights she has it really far away from her. But anyway, she come out, she saw this guitar sitting there, and she goes, "Oh, I have to have that." So I really just started doing the recording on the review part that we did for Searching for Tone that morning. And we went straight to Shenandoah Music and she ordered one. So that one's right next to her Japan-made Ibanez. And then next to that, I have my white Fender. And then over here's the giveaway guitar. So if you're new and you're just popping in, if you're a subscriber, make sure that you're publicly subscribed. If you are publicly subscribed, that's really all you need to do to enter to win this guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. I think it's like a $650 MAP price on this guitar. If you're publicly subscribed, all you have to do is go over to our Discord page and go to the 280 Select Court giveaway room. And one of our moderators, Steve, has made a form. You fill out that form, and it'll post-generate our spinning wheel when we give that guitar away. When we hit 3,000 subs, that's when we're going to give it away. So we try to do high-end or higher-end guitars. That's what we're trying to do. Even the lesser expensive guitar, I believe Steve, I haven't seen Steve in the chat. Steve won the Gretsch. Even though that was a $300 guitar, that was a great guitar. It really was. That was a great guitar. So that was probably the least expensive guitar that we've given away. And then we reworked a Washburn. Who sent in the Washburn?
I think that was Brian Phelps, wasn't it?
I'm not sure who's. One of our subscribers sent us a Washburn, an RX-25, and we did some rework on it, put new strings on it, did a setup. We give that guitar away. So, and I'm just kind of rambling, guys. We've had so many great people contribute to this channel, and that's why. Oh, they want to see it. She just come out. They want to see your made in Japan Ibanez. So this is her made in Japan Ibanez. It's a sharp guitar. In person, when it changes, it gets very dark, and then it gets light in the light. And there's a little bit of flake in it. So this has it's not the super cheap. They make 3 versions of this bridge. They make a really cheap one. This is the in-between one. And I think the difference is in the hardness of the steel. But what's nice about it, on the made in Japan ones, you're going to notice there's no shiplap joint up here. Now, Kurt calls that, I always forget what they call it. They call it a scarf joint. I call it a shiplap. Scarf joint, I think, is more guitar oriented. But notice there's no scarf joint on the made in Japan ones. It's one, well, it's actually, this is a 3-piece maple neck. 1, 2, 3. So the reason you can't tell, they did not put, a lot of times on a 3-piece, when they cut and quarter saw on the neck like this, they'll go back and put a piece of walnut or benga or purple heart. They'll do something in here to kind of give it that accent. This one isn't the $3,000, version, so they didn't do that. But it is a 3-piece solid maple neck. No scarf joint. Bolt on. It's a sharp guitar, guys. And she purchased this one used. I mean, as far as dings and chips, I don't really think this guitar has any dings or chips. When we looked at it at the store, we were like, oh my gosh. And I don't think we picked this up at Shenandoah Music. And of course, we bought it, and then I explained to him why we jumped on it so quick. We jumped on it so quick because of the neck. This 3-piece neck on this guitar, this will be one of her most stable guitars. As far as when winter comes and the change of season happens, I doubt very seriously that I will be doing a truss rod adjustment on this guitar. That's the key. They only made this in Japan for like 3 years, and then that's when they started outsourcing this to Cort. So if you can find one of these, I forget the year, it's like it's early 2010. They did them for 3 years, and then they outsourced it to Cort in Indonesia. And you can instantly tell when it went to Indonesia, They cut the neck right here to save money. So it's a one-piece maple neck, and then they put the scarf joint in it. So it's not a three-piece neck. And then also when they went to Indonesia, they did away with the DiMarzio pickups and put the Quantum pickups in them. And the price point come way down. So this guitar, when it was built, was probably right at 1,000. And when they went to Indonesia, it went way down. You could probably get this guitar for 6, but it wasn't the same guitar. So these are kind of sought after. And when she showed it to me, I was like, oh yeah, we're getting that. But she's got a couple Ibanezes. She's got that one. She's got the Gem. She has an Ibanez RGA, and she's got the S model over here. Now I was playing the S model. I played that S model a lot. If you're looking for, I still say this, $450 guitar that you have to do absolutely nothing to. They play great right out of the box. The Ibanez S and the Ibanez RGA. It's like the FM42. They've got a couple different versions. It's the cheaper models. It's not the GOs, but the RGA and the S model. Let me grab her S model. You can get this guitar all day long for $450, and a lot of times they go on sale. And this is a fantastic guitar. Look at how thin the body is. This thing weighs nothing. When I say nothing, if you need a guitar just to run around stage and not worry about weight and be comfy, and the resonance, this and the RGA, both, the body is really resonant. You can feel it when you strum it. I can feel the vibration on my chest. Now, some people might say, well, it doesn't really matter. I've noticed if I play the guitar acoustically and I feel that, that's usually a pretty good sign that it's going to sound good, because it's resonant. But this guitar and the RGA, I still think they're some of the best bangs for the buck at the $450 price range. I've seen this guitar go on sale for $399, and the RGA that I bought is $479 for that model. And I've seen those as cheap as $439. So it's kind of hard to beat them. And look for the Quantum. Make sure the Quantum pickups, sharp. The stock bridge is good. Stock tuners are good. I mean, I hot rodded my RGA, and in reality, I think the only thing you really need to do to that guitar to really make it a guitar that you can beat the you-know-what out of and throw it on stage, and I just said they're good tuners, but if you put locking tuners on it, it makes string changes a little faster, and the tuners that I put on it were a higher ratio, so I put hip shot locking tuners on it. I believe they were like 19-1 or something, or 20-1. Makes tuning it a little easier. Doesn't need it. But if you're going to buy one and you want to do something to it, put locking tuners on it. But you don't have to. For the money, we try to look for guitars that you can buy inexpensively and just play them. You know, it's not a project guitar, if that makes sense. And if you're looking for something inexpensive and you're in a band and not really care too much if it gets stolen off the stage or it gets dropped, you know, you're moving a lot of equipment in and out. It's kind of hard to beat these things. It really is. I mean, check the back out. These are beautiful guitars. Let me put it back up on the wall. You guys are probably like, well, why is he talking about I forgot I didn't have my lapel mic on. Why are we talking about Linnell? Well, we went to Shenandoah Music today, and I'm going to close this window, and I am going to go We did not purchase, the bass, but I am going to show you a picture of it at Sweetwater. Yeah, I just said bass, if you guys caught that. I'm going to try to find it here. 28.6 scale. It should come right up. Well, of course not. All right. Well, I'm going to limit the price point, and that should immediately bring it up. Yes. So what she is wanting to do, it's a GSRM20. And I've got that pulled up, and I am going to hit share screen. I did get that. So that's the bass. I forgot to fix the sound on that. I'm going to write myself a note. Go back and look at the picture. So basically, it's a 28.6 scale length, okay? And it's Ibanez. It is their Geo line. And when I first saw it, it says MIKRO. Well, they have some artist that has a name similar to that. So I thought it was a Geo artist model. And come to find out, it's just a real screwy way of saying micro. And they're calling it a micro bass because it's 28.6 scale length. Well, you guys have seen Linnell. She's like 5 foot. So
Give me my 2 inches, would you?
all right, 5'2". A full size bass. I mean, she'd be trying to reach out. It's not going to work for her. But she plays 25.5 scale length guitars. So when we were at Shenandoah, she was looking at this thing, and I'm like, okay. But even though the scale length is 3 inches longer, when you set the bass right up to a 25.5 scale length guitar, the headstock and the body line up perfectly. It's just the neck's a little longer into the body. So she is gonna get that bass. We're gonna try to get it here by Saturday. I think bass teaches us a lot. I don't know how many of you all also have basses. And I've made this comment before. When I was looking to play in a band and I couldn't find that spot as a guitar player, I played bass. And at first, it was just something for me to do to kind of burn time and at least get out and play. But after I played the bass for 5 or 6 months, I really started realizing how cool the bass was and how much fun the bass is. And I found out how important the bass player was. Because if you're the bass player and you miss a note or you go out of time, you screw everybody up in the band. It gave me a whole new, I guess, opinion of bass players. And I mean, I still pick on bass players. I get a package and I get the little silica gel pack. I'm like, ooh, look, it's a bass player treat. And I think bass players know I'm just kind of picking on them. I have the utmost respect for what they do because when they falter, they screw everybody up. It truly is the driving part of the song. It holds everything. It's the glue. It really is. Because if you don't have a strong bass player and you're one guitar player band, stop playing the rhythm and go into lead. The song's going to fall apart. If you have a strong bass player that can kick it up just a little bit, okay, and add a little flair, because you no longer have that rhythm guitar, now you're dependent on that bass player, it's night and day difference. It really is. If you have a solid bass player, you really don't need that rhythm guitar player. And listen to Rush. I mean, Geddy Lee is a freaking stupid monster. He's triggering keys with this foot, singing and playing the bass all at the same time. Now, granted, I know he's one out of a million that can do that, but listen to Alex playing the lead, even with songs that don't have keyboard. That bass line is just driving that song and making it work. So she wants to learn a little bit of bass, and she was really curious about it. So she's going to buy a bass and check it out. You're probably like, well, why didn't you let her play your bass? Well, mine's a full scale length bass. So my bass is like 7 inches longer scale length than what she ordered. I think mine's a 34 and a half or a 35 inch scale on my custom shop Squire. It's a monstrosity. So she would really have a problem playing that. I wish I would have fixed the volume on the. I'm going to bring up the picture just one more time. The audio is going to die, but I want you guys to check it out. I'll just go through the photos so you guys can see what it looks like. Let me go back to the. Oh, I don't think I hit the right button. All right, guys. So it's $219.
There's no volume when you're up.
Yeah, there's no volume when I'm in the other window, guys. I need to fix that. I also need to fix the underlying. I don't know how I had it set up last time, but I'm going to look into that to get that fixed. The way it's set up right now is a little irritating. But that's 219 bucks. So if you're on the fence on a bass, you know, that's 219 bucks. Now we did look. She was on Sweetwater looking when we left Shenandoah Music, and she found a Squire that she liked. I think, was that a precision bass?
I think so.
She found a precision bass, and if you don't have a bass and you need a bass and a bass amp, that's a beautiful precision bass. The bass was $350, and then they had the Rumble. Was it the Rumble 50?
No, 25, I believe.
Rumble 25. You get the bass, the Fender Rumble 25, a cord, a strap,
Stand.
picks. Oh, yep, a stand, picks, and a tuner. What was it? $550?
$5.99.
$5.99. I mean, if you've got somebody that's on the fence, you know, I might buy a guitar, I might buy a bass.
That's a full length bass, also.
That's full length. That's not a micro. I think that was a 34-inch scale length.
Mm.
But if you know someone that's thinking about buying a bass, they don't have an amp, they don't have a bass, they got nothing. $599, you know, you get that bass, you know, it's part of the Vibe collection. It's $350. It's a nice bass. You get a cord, you get a strap, you get a tuner, you get the little Fender 25 bass amp. It's the exact same. It's not like the combo Christmas kits. It's not the cheap little Squire, you know, amplifier. This is the actual 25-watt rumble. It's the little baby rumble. Perfect for just playing in your living room. You're not playing out with it, but if you're thinking about buying a bass and you don't have a bass amp, $600 you get everything. Especially if you have nothing. Okay, you don't have a tuner, you don't have a chord. I mean, for $600 to go in and get everything, that's a Sweetwater deal. So we didn't go any further with it because it's 34-inch scale length, and that's just too long for her. But she did find a Jackson. She found a couple other. Now Squire did have some shorter scale length ones, but she kind of liked the Ibanez. So I think at this point she's got 1, 2, 3. How many? 4. This will be her 5th Ibanez.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can officially say she's an Ibanez fangirl, if there's such a thing. So while I was on the phone with Sweetwater, everyone knows that I have, for a long time, I've been thinking about updating my amplifier. I'm liking my Line 6 Stomp, for doing streams. So I'm thinking about doing something. I know Wicked Fester's in here. He just bought a new head rush unit. I don't think I want to go that route. Anything free doesn't stay free. No one makes money free. I remember when you bought computer programs and you got a disc, it became your program. It's like Autodesk, that I use for computer-aided drafting. You used to buy Autodesk, you got a disc. Well, now when you buy it, there's no disc. It's a license for a year. And I think a lot of the plug-in type stuff, I don't know what the future of it is. I don't care for that, because at any time they can say, well, you don't own it, because it's just something laying on a hard drive, if that makes sense. I like having the gear, not necessarily just a plug-in. Okay. So I was thinking about a Helix rack. Kurt just bought one. He says he likes it. It's old. It's been out for a long time. And they just come out with the stadiums. And when the new stadiums come out, they were pretty buggy. They were crashing, carrying on.
Wicked Vester said he's playing with it now. He said this is why he's downloading all the amps he can find in case free goes away.
I don't think free will go away this week. I don't. But at some point, okay, it's just like the difference between A1 and A2. If you don't know it, A1 was finicky. It took a lot of system resources, and it was okay. They come out with A2. It takes less system resources, less CPU, and it sounds better. And how can you complain about that? It sounds better and takes less system resources. So that made it to where now these lower cost things like Moore, what's the one that makes like the GT50 and the GT2 for whatever it is, these lower cost multi-effects processors, not that head rush. We're not talking about head rush. We're talking about the $100 ones and the $150 ones and the $200 ones. A lot of them you see on Amazon. That's going to open the door up for a lot of these budget units that didn't necessarily have the CPU and the memory. The one company, I can't remember their name now for the life of me. It would not play A1. It would convert the file to their proprietary coding. I think they didn't. The A1 isn't as good as A2, but when you converted it to their proprietary software, I guess, or language to work on their device.
Was it Vailton?
Yeah, maybe it was Vailton. Vailton's the one. It really changes it. It doesn't sound near, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it doesn't sound as good as the A1 because it's converting it to work. So I think Vailton now with the A2, since it's sounds better and takes less to run it, I would wait, and Vailton may come out with a $200 to $300 unit that's going to run A2. Right now it's free. All I'm saying is free doesn't last for long. That people need to make money. And if you're buying inexpensive units to run it on, then there's no money in the hardware. So at some point, someone needs to make something. I ran open source TX, Sped Spectrum on my RC helicopters. It was free for a long time. And it's still technically free, but they found a workaround. So what it was, Tarantus and all these companies that were making these transmitters, they just made them so ridiculously priced, and they all jumped on the bandwagon. Even the cheap companies that made cheaper transmitters and receivers, they knew, hey, it's open source. Well, the other companies couldn't run open source because they didn't want to spend all the hours writing it. They weren't going to make, like Futaba and Spectrum, wasn't going to make something to run it because there was no money on it. So the companies that originally started with the open source just made the hardware, the device, really expensive. And then they made upgrades, okay, to that unit expensive. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. What I'm saying is free doesn't last forever. And if it gets to that point, it's going to make it hard to market it, because if you write something, you have to post it somewhere to where someone can download it. Does that kind of make sense? So even if it does stay free, maybe there'll be a fee to download it. There's so many different ways they could make money. Yeah, it's free, but let's say it's $5 per download, or we'll give you 20 downloads for $10. I don't know what it'll be, but it's going to do something like that. So I'm a big fan of buying a piece of gear, and it's all internal. Okay, if worst case scenario, I can operate this thing without my computer hooked up, because everything we buy is designed to work on whatever Windows platform is current. Right now, I would say Windows 10, Windows 11. Okay, if I plug my Line 6 Stomp HX, my HX Stomp, into a PC with Windows 98, it's probably not going to work. Would it work with Windows 2000, Windows Millennium? Probably not. At what point is that OS system going to allow me to run my older HX Stomp?
Wicked Fester said, keep in mind the head rush is a modeler in its own right, just like a Helix. The models just aren't as good.
I don't know. I think Head Rush has some pretty good models. I mean, just because they're doing A2 doesn't mean Head Rush isn't going to continue to refine their models.
Tom Surfing Alien said, have you ever used a Leslie simulator pedal?
I haven't, but I played with a guy that had a Leslie cabinet, and I thought that thing was just stupid. I mean, that's the real deal. It would sit there and spin. The real thing you really can't emulate, because depending on where you put it, it'll sound completely different, because that thing's spinning in there. So if you've got a wall far away and one close or something next to it, it creates all this weird imaging and bounce back. That's what made them so cool. But I've never played with any simulation pedals, because a lot of people are, it's like a vibrato. It is, I guess. But if you listen to the real thing, as you walk around, what it does is completely different. Where you place it on the stage, in the corner, over here, over there, it's really dependent on where it is, if that makes sense. And I don't think that's something that you can emulate, because it's always changing. So depending on where they modeled it or captured it, that's going to change it. If I stuck it over in the corner, 2 foot from a corner, and then facing out open, it's going to sound completely different than if it's in the center of the room. So I don't really know how they would do that. But I've only tinkered with the real McCoy. I've never played with the modeling pedal. But I used to love my Fender Twin. It had a vibrato. And I used to love that effect. Even though that's like old school, I would do that, just slight little bit of vibrato, put some reverb in it. I thought it was cool. You know, if it works for you, then it works. I don't use really a vibrato. I just wrote a new sound on the Line 6, and I used a pedal that I don't normally use. I used a wah, okay? But I'm not using it as a wah. I'm using it to thicken the sound and a certain frequency. And when I first hit the note, you can kind of hear that wah that a wah gives you when you first hit the note, but you can't modulate it, if that makes sense. So I'm not really using it in the sense of a wah pedal. Well, I'll show you tonight. We'll plug in the guitar and you guys can tell me whether or not it sounds good. I thought it. I was also on it for an hour. I'm going to qualify. I was on it for an hour, and I've done this before. I'll sit there and I'll tinker with a sound for an hour and think I got it, and come back 2 days later and listen to it and go, oh my gosh, what in the world was I thinking? This thing sounds awful. So we'll try it tonight. We'll see if it actually does work or if it doesn't work. But back to what I was saying, I was on the phone with the Sweetwater guy today, and I was asking him, they have an open box Helix, and it's discounted down because it's open box. And it wasn't my normal salesman. It's part of his sales team. Alex Josiak, he's the main guy. So he has sales people under him. So I was talking to one of the people under him, and I asked him what he thought of the Helix and what they were going to do with the stadium. Are they going to do a stadium? And he said, well, last time when they brought out the rack, it was, I think he said 12 to 18 months before they made the rack mount version. That was also to work out some of the bugs. And I kind of agree with that. When you're buying a rack piece of equipment, it needs to work. People that buy rack gear, they're not interested in beta testing something. They're buying something because it's bulletproof, and it better work because it's rack gear. So he made that comment. It'll probably be 12 to 18 months before Helix does a stadium rack mount unit. So the model structure is different, and the horsepower under the hood is different. They've tried to design the new unit to kind of go into the future. Is Line 6 going to stop support on the old one? Probably not. There's a lot of Helix users out there using the older products. But he said something to me that makes me really want to hold off. I asked him about the Quad Cortex, that everyone says that it's the best. And I actually do think for under $1,800, you can't beat the Quad Cortex. It's probably the best unit on the market other than an Axe-Fx. And I'll be honest with you, there's a side of me that thinks Axe-Fx is kind of losing its footing because of technology and because of the cost of processors. These other companies now, they know what they're doing. Axe-Fx was the first one to really put high quality hardware and to really start writing things. You had ART did it first, then you had Digitech jump on the bandwagon, Avia or Avid did it. All jumps. So now basically it's a small computer, just like my wing rack. Okay, my wing rack's not a mixing board, it's a computer. It's a computer in a 4U box that kind of looks like a mixing console. But don't let anybody tell you there's no potentiometers in there. It's a computer. That's what it is. Talking with him, he seems to think Quad Cortex is going to come out with a rack mount. If this is true, I think I'm going to wait a little bit and see. I think the Quad Cortex is just a little better. I think the effects are a little better, and I think the modeling is a little better. I think it sounds more like the real deal. Okay. And if I do my tube tricks with my line, oh, wrong way, and I use my line tube units, if I plug that in, let's say you're doing the Quad Cortex, or if you're a Helix user and you want it to sound more like a real tube amp, set your effects loop to where you're just pick an effects loop. It's got 4 on the new Helix. Tell it you want effects loop right after the amp model, before the IR and all that. Go out, get yourself a inline tube amplifier that's line level, and come right back into the unit. It is going to warm up that digital sound and it's going to make it really work like a tube amp. I have done it for years. That's been in my rack for 30 years. So I've seen an influx of this on YouTube, that it's something new. It's not. People in the know, and I'll say people that did it professionally, that were running solid state stuff, did it a long time ago. Really. I think it's Free It, or whatever you call it. They have this new little pedal. It's got a tube in it. I forget what that thing is called, a valvenator. And the new thing is now to plug your guitar into that and then go into your modeler. You can do it that way. This is 2-channel. So if you find one of these, it's 2 channels. I could technically plug my guitar into the left, come out of that right into the face of the Helix or the Cortex or whatever. Okay. That's going to sweeten up the input side of the modeled amp, and then also do the effects loop out to the other side, because it's stereo, and do more tone shaping. Another thing you can do, you can get a tube EQ. And before you say they're stupid expensive, there is one that you can get on Sweetwater that is not stupid expensive. Let me find it. Tube EQ. Yes. Now, again, guys, I'm not going to be able to talk, but I want you, if you're having problems with your digital model and you go, it just lacks the warmth of a tube amp, I want you to look at this next product and understand, come out of your effects loop right after your amp model and go into this thing. This is basically a clone, okay? Sweetwater sells it, so they're going to back it, and it's dirt cheap. All right, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Basically, it's the same thing that I have over here. It's a little different. The unit I have is probably a little higher quality. It's using the term sweetness and hot for your controls.
RRD says I run my head rush into the returns of effects loop on 2 tube amps. It sounds excellent.
Yep. Believe me, but what I'm saying is if you're using the model in the head rush, or the Helix or the Quad Cortex or anything like that, that you're modeling the amplifier, everything's modeled, and you just feel, let's say you model your JCM 800 or your Hughes and Kettner or whatever amp you have, the Egnator, you model that amp and you pick, oh, look, they've got an Egnator model. And you're like, there's something missing. If you put that piece of gear in the effects loop, you will be surprised with today's modeling. I guarantee you, no one, even a musician, would be able to tell them apart A, B. And you'd have a 50% chance that they might like the model one better, and then someone else will like the real one or the model one. And then if you came back the next day, the person that said he liked the model might like the tube one better the next day. It's going to make it that indistinguishable. Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and that's the cheapest I've seen an inline tube unit. Now that one works more like an EQ, okay? But the principle's the same. Okay, so you can not only use it to sweeten your signal, but you can EQ. Someone last stream said, well, can I put my EQ pedal in the effects loop? Don't even worry about the EQ pedal. Buy that thing and put it in there. It's another tube stage. On my rack over here, I'm running 3 tube stages. 3. Especially when I'm running the Synergy. Because I got the tube stage in the Synergy, I got the tube stage in the ART, and I got the tube stage in the Audio Media Research, the line amp. Then I'm going into my power amp with the 6L6s. So there's places that you can pick up gain, bite, warmth. There's so many things that you can do there. And yeah, it does start getting complicated. Don't put all that crap together at one time. Buy a unit, and when you get your first piece of gear, let's say you get that tube EQ, play with it. Work with it. It will sound good. When you get that down, then move to the next thing that you want to change. How come there isn't any good sound pedals on the wall? Or is that something that's
sound panels?
For here, this really isn't a studio, Mad Hatter. I mean, this was our living room, even though there's no chairs or anything in here. It just kind of grew into what it is today. I don't have people over to record music and stuff. If I did, I would worry about sound absorption. And believe it or not, for as little sound absorption as in this room, it's remarkable how well the room sounds. Because literally, I have hardwood floors. This is plaster. It's not drywall. Plaster, sound just bounces off of it. So the only thing in here absorbing sound is the curtains, a couple towels, a couple pieces of equipment cover, and that's it. So in reality, it's amazing that I get the quality that I get with what you're saying, absolutely no sound acoustic treatments on the wall. I don't know, maybe if I move, this is a very small channel. The channel, it's summertime. So everyone's views, you might hear a YouTuber saying their views are down. That's going to be across the board. It's summer. Everyone's out playing, doing their thing outside. Winter is more, especially gear channels and gear chat. Winter, it's more active. So you get more people clicking on, your videos, more revenue. So the revenue's down, for us the past 2 or 3 months, really. So for me, this is like a hobby, just like music's a hobby to me now. Technically, I guess I make a little money in music because I'm a YouTuber. But I don't really consider myself what I once was. I'm not buying gear. I'm not recording people. I'm not going to the studio, laying down a guitar track for anybody. I'm not filling in for a sound guy somewhere running sound. It's completely different for me. So you might watch a channel that has a recording studio in their home. And that would be a perfect place to run a podcast from. It's a recording studio. So the room is going to absorb all that. They're already set up to do it. that a lot of YouTube, me doing this, it was a big learning curve because the equipment I had was more for going out and playing live. That's what I used to do. So I had a live guitar amp, my rack amp, and had a rack of compressors and gates. People are like, what in the world do you need all those compressors and gates for? Well, you needed a compressor and a gate on everything. You know, as soon as you put one compressor on and you started, let's say you had drums on 6 channels and you send the toms, the kick, the hi-hat all to one compressor or one gate. Well, that's not going to work because the snare is going to trigger the gate differently than the bass or the toms or the crash. So you pretty much have to have a compressor limiter gate for your cymbals, one for your snare, one for your kick drum, and usually one across your toms. Now, after it comes back in, you could probably run that into one signal processor for your effects. But as far as opening and closing gates and limiting things and compressing things, you need a lot. Then you need one for your main vocalist. You could probably get away with another one for all your backing vocals. Yeah, I mean, right there, you're at 8 or 9 compressor limiter gates. So then they go, well, why do you have all these stereo effects processors? Well, they're stereo, so I get two units. And when the Digitech S2000 come out, I could apply a completely different effects structure to the left side versus the right. So I could have reverb and chorus over here, okay, with no gates. And then over here, I could do reverb, EQ, and something else. So I had 2 effective processors. So I had 2 of those. So that gave me 4 channels for 4 different independent effects. Then we had the spectrum analyzer. Everything I had was for live sound. So when I did YouTube, I quickly realized my first videos, and no one has ever made a comment. The channel is still on YouTube. My other YouTube channel is still on YouTube. And I still get a post every now and then from someone clicking on one. I learned real quick recording off your phone and using YouTube editor, the little editor YouTube has. It's horrible. So my first video doing a review here was recorded with an old GoPro 8 that I'd bought. That's all I had was one camera, and I downloaded a free version of VSDC. I learned real quick that you got to have certain things to do YouTube videos. You really do. Because the first 6 months that I did YouTube, people were like, wow, I like your content, but the video quality is and the sound is really bad. And I agree. I go back and I watch them, and I see what they're talking about. So now, back to what we were talking about as far as Mad Hatter, that's why I'm Mad Hatter. I mean, this is our home. I'm not I'm not someone that's recording people. It serves my purpose for what I do, if that makes sense. And we're about honesty. Do I need it? No one has said that they hear a room echo in any of our live streams. Even when I first started doing live streams and I had a real wonky system, no one ever said, wow, man, you really need to put some acoustic tiles up because the reverberation in the room, or I'm hearing reflections. No one has really said that. Are they there? Oh, I'm 100% sure they're there. But how much would you guys actually hear it if I went out and bought some? I think my investment in the new cameras was better. You can really go down a pretty steep rabbit hole when you start looking at acoustic paneling. And a lot of it, you can get on Amazon. It's acoustic panel. It does this. A lot of that stuff is snake oil. So there's a reason why some of it's very expensive. The cut, the angle, the material, it really does make a difference. So I don't know anything about that stuff. So maybe one day we'll put some up.
Mikey said all the amp front panels absorb it all.
Yeah, maybe. Really stop and look around. Everything here is solid surfaced. There's no carpet. Carpet, believe it or not, is your biggest sound absorption in your house. You know. Oh, okay. A long time watcher. Everything has only gotten better. Thank you so much. I don't know how to pronounce your name. 8 QOW8. Thank you so much, man. I like it when people say they've watched for a long time and haven't seen you post, so it's good to see you post. Everyone, if you haven't seen him post, say hi to him. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little better. And that's it. And I think everyone's journey playing guitar, what are you guys trying to do? Trying to get better. What are you trying to do with your equipment? You're trying to get it better. Everyone's trying to get it better, but what's the one thing everyone's trying to do as they get it better? Do it at a cost-effective way and not waste money buying something that, you were misled, saying it does X and it didn't, or it didn't work for you. That's what we try to do here. Just because something doesn't bond with me, like pedals. We do pedal reviews. There's a lot of people that play pedals. Hopefully I've demoed a pedal and you guys are like, Avery did a good job on that. I'm going to go buy one. I like that pedal. Okay. Maybe it was about the Yamaha AG08, a little streaming console. Hey, I want to do that too. I can honestly say, if you want to do basic streaming, plug your guitar in, keyboards, have 2 mics. The Yamaha AG08 is a stupid good buy. It's got built-in effects. You can't go wrong with it. It is the best little mixing interface effects unit that you can buy. And right now I think this unit now is like $450. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? I have never had an issue with it. It's been a great unit. I can honestly say it's good. I was using this and then my old Mackie board. Okay. I took everything into the Mackie. Okay. The keyboard, the guitar and all that. And then the master out went to 2 channels stereo into the AG08. Why did I buy the new wing rack, you say? Well, if you're a long-time watcher of the channel, my Mackie was starting to have some problems. Things don't last forever. Some of the potentiometers, the sliders, could I have fixed it? Absolutely. It just needed a good cleaning.
What are your thoughts on the Boss GT100 pedal?
GT100. I think all the Boss stuff's good. I don't know if that's the one that's very analog, that still has the knobs. I think that they've got this big floor unit. It just looks like a bunch of pedals all shoved into one box. I've heard those. I think they sound good. I think in today's world, before you go out, especially if you don't have a lot of pedals, before you add your pedal board, if you're trying to do it at a lower cost, you can't beat multi-effects units.
Mikey had said just a minute ago when you were talking, was it Toolman, Avery?
Toolman. Yeah, it's talking about Toolman, Tim?
I'm assuming.
I don't know. I used to watch that show. What is it, Tool Time?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement, that's what it was. I used to watch that show. Someone just put on here, no, it's the one you just posted. Where I saw it. Wicked Fester posted the MG16XU board. I think that's the nicer version. I have the AG08. It's a little simpler board. I'm pretty sure the MG16XU is a nicer board.
The GT100 is a small 2-button multi-effects.
I don't know that one.
The
if that makes sense.
ME90 is the one with all the buttons and knobs.
Yeah, I've seen that one. A lot of people are like, oh, this is so old school. You know, there's a time where I like just to have a knob. You know, I don't want to look at some computer screen. I want to look down and say, hey, there's bass, there's middle, there's treble. You know, especially if you're in a rush. You don't have to click on anything. There's no touch screen. You don't have to go through a menu. You reach down, turn a knob. There's something to be said about that.
Chief Joe said the sound engine of the GT100 is slightly more powerful than the Katana.
I can believe that. The Katana is a great amp. So if they cram the Katana in the GT100, how can you go wrong? That's my point. All these pedals, whether it's Valentin or Boss, NewX makes some now. You know, Line 6 makes some cheaper ones now. There's so many out there. And you can really at basically $100, you can get that one Valentin. And you can go up to, we're going to say inexpensive units to $300. And you get a lot of horsepower for that kind of money.
Okay, apparently GT100 is an 8-button with foot pedal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that one. The ME90 would be great. Everything is easy to reach. Yet there's something to be said about that. I mean, I got an HX Stomp. Everyone knows it. It's got some knobs on it, but you still have to scroll through the menu. So if I pick an effect and there's a screen, let's say it has 8 things. Well, I only have 3 knobs. So as you scroll through, those 3 knobs do different things. Is it hard to use? I'm not going to say it's hard to use, but you're always having to navigate the menu before you can turn something. I mean, I've kind of gotten used to it, but let's just say, okay, I'm in a different window and I want to go to the reverb and just cut the tails off the reverb. I gotta go hit the effects chain, scroll down to the reverb, then I gotta scroll over to that particular parameter and then use the knob. It's not something I can just reach over and go, oh, okay, done. I've got to go into edit, click on the effect, scroll down to that particular thing, and then make the change. It's a completely different monster. That's what I used to love about the SGX 2000. It was a awesome unit with a tube preamp, and it actually had an EQ in the front. It had a master, a gain, you had voicing, and then you had balance, and you had a master volume. Then you had a wet dry mix right on the front, and then you still had all the horsepower in the unit. If I wanted to use the decoding wheel and enter and presets, but I could make quick changes. I could just go right up, if I had too many effects, I could go right over to the wet dry mix and take all the effects and have more dry signal. Could I just change the reverb? No. But I could drop in a quick fix. I could just drop the wet dry mix. I'm looking at the new Helix rack mount, that's not there. If I'm on stage and I want to turn around and just change the wet dry mix, I'm not doing it. I'm going to have to go into the menu, scroll down, do this. Does that kind of make sense? So the channel's about honesty. I'm not putting any of these products down. They're all great products. Just think about how you use whatever it is, okay? Whether it's a pedal, whether it's an effects unit, I don't care what it is. Look at how you interact with it and look at whatever new piece of gear that you're thinking about buying. And that's the hardest part.
Chief Joe said the SGX 2000 can also be used as just a simple preamp with no FX.
It can. And it has 2 different preamps. You have a solid state preamp and a tube preamp. So you can go right out. Well, one, you don't have to program it. You could just use the effects. I mean, the preamps and not do any effects. But you can do both. You can use, and I had my SGX set up this way for a while. I have two. So you can come out, there's one mono send in the SGX, and that's pre-effects of that unit. Go out of that send into another SGX 2000 or into another processor, and now you can have two completely different amps on the out phase of the output of the preamp to your power amp. So I have a stereo power amp. So I can plug into one SGX, go through that preamp stage, okay, out the send into a different preamp stage, then have different effects and different this, okay? Now, I'm not sure if you can run it from input direct out. I don't think you can do that with the unit, but you could definitely come in after the solid state clean channel right out. Then you could go back into the other. I mean, there's so many different things you could do. Or you can go out before effects, okay? Run all your effects with your blend here, and then merge the signal back in before it goes to the power amp and have a cleaner signal on the left and your dirt signal on the other. Does that kind of make sense? You can do it that way too. There's so many different things. The unit was really advanced for when it come out.
Vox time, and Vox made a comment that he's at his son's place, so it's not Gretchy Fetchy time, it's Trixie Fetchy time. It's his son's dog's name is Trixie.
We may need some pictures. Discord. Well, I can't visualize this puppy. I can visualize Vox sitting there playing ball with. Yeah, I could see that, but now we got a new dog, so we need some pictures. Yeah, it is Vox time. If you're new here, guys, we just talk about gear, and I try to watch the screen. We discuss gear, and we're not here to always talk about the latest, greatest thing. I'm a firm believer, if it works, it works.
Michael had asked, are you running a preamp into a preamp that way?
You are, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Because I run 3 preamps, okay? I'm running 4-cable method on the Synergy into the ART, but I still have that preamp stage there that I can use. I go out of the effects end into my line tube preamp and then back in. You just have to watch your gain stages. You're using it more for color, and think of it as like a boost pedal, okay? If you come into one, as long as you're not hitting it hard, you can still have a very clean signal when you come out of that if you're going into, let's say, an analog preamp. Let's say I turn the gains way back down on the Synergy, and I'm on a clean sound on the Sedano. When I go into the ART, okay, I can have the solid state unit there, which has a far more advanced EQ, okay, because I got low, mid, high, and presence, which I don't have on the Friedman or the Sedano. So I'm not necessarily using the solid state preamp for color. I'm going to use it for tone shaping. So it's very transparent. As long as I don't overclip that solid state on the input side of the art, that gives me a little more, and I have voicing on the art. So I can alter the sound of that Sedano preamp or the Friedman preamp and not necessarily color the signal. And you can do the exact opposite. You could go into the art, use the solid state, okay, or the tube, go out of the effects loop into the Synergy, hit the front side of the Synergy a little harder, like a boost pedal, then come right back into the return, into the effects of the art and out. There's so many different ways, like I don't know, let me change cameras. So right here, you can see I got that MXR E10 band EQ. It's plugged into my line 6 stomp. So I'm using it to shape my sound before it goes into line 6 stomp. This is a kick butt combination. I love this MXR 10 band EQ in front of that Line 6 tom. How much difference does it make? It's just a little bit. But that little bit of difference I couldn't EQ in the Line 6. If I turned up the low, it got too flubby. I turned down the mid, that it seemed like it scooped it too much. With the 10 band going in front, I can really fine tune exactly what I want to take out. And I couldn't do that before. And the 10 band EQ in the Line 6 isn't near as good. They have like an 8 band or a 7 band or something on it. I couldn't get that to function like the MXR going in before the preamp. All right, guys, if you're new here, please go down, hit the thumbs up button, and please subscribe. We're trying to be a different kind of channel. And last stream, we didn't play guitar at all. So this stream, we are going to pick up the guitar and just play a little bit. It is a guitar channel. But Saturday nights is just talk. So we do take a 5-minute break that allows everyone to hit the restroom, get a snack, get something to drink. Lord knows I need it. I've been talking a lot. My throat's sore. But when we come back, we're going to go right back into more topics that you guys put in the chat right there. And I see you got one more question, Birdman. Avery, how can it kick butt? It ain't got no legs. I thought that was a question. That was more of a comment. It does. And someone in here is going to say, well, it sounds okay. You know, sound is personal taste. And that's why there's so many different amplifiers, look at how many high gain amplifiers are out there. You're going to tell me there's only one good one? Look at how many clean amplifiers are out there. Fender and all these, like, you know, some people like the Vox clean tone or the Roland. I'm sorry, a Roland jazz chorus, that's a pretty stupid, good, clean sounding amp. Is it better than the Fender Twin? Is the Vox better? I think they're all great. It depends on what you're looking for. Okay? You know, we're not here to bash. We're here to find products that work for us, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying everything's good. We've had some pretty products on this channel, and we say they're pretty crappy. But if you're talking Fender Twin Reverb or a AC30 or the Zegnator, I'm going to tell you, can you make them sound bad? Absolutely. You can make anything sound bad. The question is, if you know how to work it, how clean is it? How good of an amp, how durable it is. Okay? And I'm the first one to say, Egnator has a horrible reputation of the transformers going out. Mike, you know, I haven't seen him post tonight, but Mike, he's a tech, works on Marshalls. He told me if I was going to buy one, he gave me a year period to buy them, that they were the best, and he didn't say they didn't have problems, but they were the best years. So that's the one I looked for. Knock on wood, I haven't had any problem with it. It has a sound that only an Egnator can do. That may or may not be your sound. All right, guys, let's take our 5-minute break. When we come back, we'll get back into the chat. And again, I want to thank everyone for coming in. I mean, you guys are really what makes the stream. We'll be right back in 5 minutes. I'm looking for my other window. We're just going to do the starting window. I need to do a break scene window. Okay, guys. I know it was a quick break, but we lose. I mean, I like taking the break. I really do. And it came down to, everyone was like, oh, I missed an important part of the show. I was in the restroom. Can you repeat? Still on my smoke break. Guys, I have been really this week. What's the old saying? You have to want to quit. And this week, I've really, it's come to my attention that me personally, I'm right at that fence. And I'm looking on the other side of the fence, and I'm like, it may be time for me to say no more. It's the only bad habit that I have left. Um, and I guess I use it as a crutch. And like everyone, everyone, looks at their job and says, wow, it's stressful, wow, it's hard. And I use it as a stress relief. And it's a crutch for me to come in and just have a cigarette when work's stressful. And I need to get over that. This week I've noticed my throat's been sore, and I'm pretty sure it's from smoking. So I am finally. I guess the better way of putting it is, I have something that's going to make me want to stop. So yeah, we'll see. It's just something that's crossed my mind. I did stop for 6 years, so I know I'm capable. And when I stopped last time, I stopped for my son and for me. And I just woke up one morning and said, "This costs too much money, and I don't. I know I'll feel better if I stop." And I wanted to stop.
Mikey said, "Jump, Avery. We'll catch you."
Yep. So I'm really to that point where I might just say, and I know I can do it because I did it last time. And this time I just won't falter, if that makes sense. I had a stressful day and I stopped and I said, I'm going to have one. A couple of days later, I had another one. And within a month, okay, I was smoking again. Now, granted, it was a half a pack a day, but that half a pack a day turned into a pack. So, um, it's a hard thing. And I've had a lot of friends that have tried to quit, but I did it. And when I set them down, I said, I'm not going to touch it. And the first 4 or 5 days was rough. And it's not that, I don't think it's even the nicotine. I think it's a habit. Having something between your fingers, it's a habit. It's something that you've gotten in a habit of doing.
C.D. Nelson said, "Good luck, Avery. It was the hardest, best thing I ever did for myself 26 years ago."
Yeah, I quit. I guess I've been smoking again now for, probably 8 years. And I had quit for 6. And like I said, I look back on it, dumbest thing I ever did. But I stopped and I got that pack of cigarettes. I don't know why I thought that I could just have one. And it comes down to, I guess thought I was stronger willed. Maybe, I don't even remember at this point. I know why I stopped that time. That was the first time my parents were getting in bad shape. We had a lot of rental properties and stuff I was taking care of. And I just had a ton of stuff going on at work. I had 2 rental properties that needed to be fixed. There was no income coming in from the rental properties. The payments were due. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm working 60 hours a week. Now I got to go fix these things so we can re-rent them. And the one house had just been rented to a girl and her boyfriend. They had a fight. He went in there and busted a bunch of holes in the doors. Didn't even get recomp the money from the loss because they were in it for like 2 months and didn't pay. Plus with the door repair, and I just said, yeah, I'm going to stop getting smoke. And that's I just remember, it seemed like everything just went up at one time.
Michael said, "You'll feel better and think of the money you can spend on guitars instead."
Oh, dude, you don't know how many times I go to Sheets in the morning. When I put my little credit card up on the reader, I'm like, you know what? If I took this out every day, it's a tremendous amount of money. A tremendous amount of money. And I'm just thinking about per paycheck. If I calculated it over the year, holy mackerel. Uh, I say, well, I can't afford a Gibson Les Paul with P90s. I stopped smoking. I can definitely afford it. I could pay one off in probably 2 or 3 months. Um, $8 a pack. Yeah, and we're not. We get the blacks because they're cheap. You get the reds. Where I'm at now, it's over $10 a pack. It is crazy. And what's really crazy, over well, over 50% of that, almost 60% of it in my area is taxes. Philip Morris is not getting rich. It's all taxes. All right. I want to look at the chat, see if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. I know we got on the effects topic because I was talking to the guy at Sweetwater, and he was talking about the quad cortex and stuff. And I'm thinking about just doing a Helix because this little HX stomp, I'm able to get decent sounds out of it now. And I know it's extremely limited because it doesn't have a lot of horsepower under the hood. It was designed to be that way.
Vox said cigarettes are over $20 a pack where he's at.
Holy mackerel. Well, we would have to quit if they were expensive here. Vox, it's probably all taxes where you're at too. It's really bad in this area where we're at. We have a very modest house. This is the biggest room in the house. Our main level here is about 850 square foot. The upstairs is unfinished. I started framing it. It's wired. It's roughed in. I'm fixing some of the rafters. The basement's framed in. If you go back and you watch some of the guitar reviews, you'll see the framing. It's wired, and I have it plumbed. That's as far as I got. So in reality, it's a pretty small house. And the taxes here, this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. The taxes, it's just insane. And it's like that across the country. I used to go, I'm going to move here because it's cheaper. It's getting harder and harder and harder to find that place where you can retire and go and live inexpensively. It really is. I look at my son, and I mean, they just bought a townhouse. It's a townhouse. I think he paid $320,000 for this townhouse, and it's in West Virginia. It's the cheapest spot in an hour from me, and it was still $120,000. That house or that townhouse in Front Royal would be $500,000, and it's not a fancy. It's a very basic. What do you call it? It's like an ADU, like in the economy. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's not like it's got crown molding, wood floors. It's a basic townhouse. Vinyl floor, carpet, basic cabinetry, hollow core doors, heat pump. Very basic. That's insane. I don't even, they're working for their house payment. They can only afford one car. They have one car. They can't afford another car. Their house broke. I wish him the best of luck. And the whole point is he did it right. He bought young. And supposedly, your house payment stays the same and you're supposed to make more money as you get older. So eventually, I guess it won't be too bad for him. But just starting out, mid-20s, that's hard. I don't know how they do it. I don't. I know they both work for a bank. I forget which bank it is. I don't know what that pays a year, but it's got to be tough. I don't pry. If Nathan wants to talk to me about it, I'll let him talk. But I'm not going to be that father that goes, well, you should. If he asks me, I'll tell him my opinion, and tell him the shortcomings that I did when I was young. They made a decision, and so far they're making it work. So how can you really say they did wrong? I mean, he bought a house, so he's not renting and throwing his money away. At least it's his, and the money they put in it when they go to sell it, if that makes sense. So I'm 100% pulling for him. And I think you found a great woman. And in today's world, that's hard. They seem to work well together. She's nice. She's good looking. Treats him good. I think he's got it made. He just got to do his part. You know, he's got to treat her right too. It's just like Linnell. If I come home and I don't do for her and I don't provide for her and I don't show love, that's not a lasting relationship. It takes two. You got to kind of go, well, I don't really want to do that, but okay, give a little here. She's going to give a little there. And you find that ground. And eventually it just becomes something that it becomes like something that it's a solid footing. When you have that stressful day, you kind of lean on that other person. I think that is probably the main thing that gets me through my workday. I know that I can come home and have someone that supports all this, okay, and supports me, if that makes sense. It's like, well, you guys get it. I don't need to preach to the choir. Look at any successful person, there's going to be a very strong woman behind them. And if it's a successful woman, there's probably a very strong man behind them, taking care of all the things that you're not thinking about, because it takes two. If you go to Discord, CD Delson, Linnell posted a guitar for stupid money. It's a Martin, custom made Martin. This Martin is $134,000, and I bought my first house for $35,000. And I know what you're like. Oh my gosh, when did you buy that? In the 18th century? I bought it in 1991, and the house was about to be condemned. It had structural issues. It was in really bad shape. Basically, the lot the house was sitting on was worth more, but people didn't want to demo the house. I didn't look at it that way. In this area, we have what's called water and sewer tap fees. So the water and sewer tap fee was already there. I didn't have to pay for it. Well, that was $30,000 just in water and sewer tap. So for $5,000, I bought a lot and what was left of the house. Now, it was still standing, but when you walked in the front door of the back of the house, you could literally fall into the crawl space. It was that rotten. I worked on it for 7 years. I slept on what do they call that thing? A futon? That thing that folds down? Uncomfortable. Rough. My bathroom had no walls. It was a toilet sitting in the middle of the floor with a tub. And the only wall was next to the tub to hold the shower diverter. I'd put up, it's like Formica, and I glued that to MDF. It just wrapped it and caulked it so the water didn't go everywhere. It was just temporary, just so I'd have a shower, and that was it. The bathroom sink was hung to the wall, no sheetrock, and that was the sink that I made my Roman numerals. That's where I got my water. That's where I washed my dishes, because I had no kitchen. And the kitchen was in frame, and I had a box with a microwave on it. That was my kitchen. And I lived that way for probably 3 years before I was actually able to get some cabinets and have a stove. And even at that rate, there was plastic in the ceiling instead of drywall with insulation on it. It took me 7 years, but I sold the house and bought something a little better, and bought a rental house and started just accumulating, if that makes sense. But it was tough. And back to what I was saying, they bought a finished house for $300. I was fortunate. I was in the trades, so I was able to buy something like that. And at the time I was single, okay, because there's no way a woman would have ever put up with that. I hate to say that, but it's like living in a tent, and that's how I lived. But like I said, I was young. I was able to work and then come home and work on the house. And that's the topic we had on Discord. So if anyone sees that conversation, that's what it was about. was my first house versus paying $135,000 for a Martin guitar. And what's funny, that Martin guitar, I think looks ugly. It's got all these stupid gears painted on it, and it's got like a gear in the headstock. It's some kind of limited edition Martin. I just don't, I don't, who buys that? Who buys a $130,000 Martin guitar? That is insane.
Well, I showed you a Taylor guitar for $50,000.
Yeah, she just showed me a Taylor for $50,000. That's still insane. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking of all the work and the material. Even if you built 2 or 3 guitars a year, I don't think that would be a hard thing to do. I guess it's the name or something special or someone special made it. I don't know. But the Taylor was $50,000. All right, guys, we're going to plug this thing in, and I am going to come up with a sound here. I want to go over what I worked on. We've kind of touched base on a lot of different things today. Let me pull up the HX edit. It says it's connecting. And it looks like I did not save that preset. Isn't that awful? That's what it's looking like. So I may have to reset everything, guys. I apologize. So let me unmute this channel. Turn the MXR on. Go back to the edit. There's something about this guitar. I really like it. I like, and that's what I was saying. This is a little HX stomp, and that's why I was wanting to. I really need to. I need to get that Allen tightened. So I'm sitting here playing this HX stomp, and I'm kind of like, for me, would a Helix rack work? And after talking to the guy at Sweetwater, I decided just to hold off again on a new unit. If now this is the thing, if you look, the Quad Cortex right now is like $1,800. It's like $1,750, something like that. If they come out with a rack unit, it's probably going to be more. And that's kind of what I was thinking after I hung up the phone with him. I can get. It's not Sweetwater. I think it's Musician's Friend has a sale right now for $1,700. You can buy a brand new Line 6 rack mount Helix and the foot controller for $1,700. That's cheaper than the Quad Cortex desktop. It's $50 cheaper. And it's a rack. And I got a foot controller. So instead of sitting here playing with the mouse during the stream, I can just reach down and push a button. I can go from clean to my dirt and have everything pre-programmed. And I don't really need to even mess with the computer at that point. Once I program it, it'll be done.
Kurt said, oh my God, Avery, fix the dang thing.
I don't know what he's talking. Oh, yeah, the tremolo bar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's gotten really loose. I don't know where the wrench is. I am really abusive on this guitar, and it's actually scary how darn good this guitar is. This is a non-locking bridge. There's no lock nut. I'm in a drop D. Let's bring it up. There's a lot of gain in that. I don't know if it's just me tonight. There's a lot of gain in that. Let's take some of that gain out. Yeah, I'm digging it. So that's what I was kind of thinking on the Quad Cortex. If they do come out with a rack unit, it's probably going to be 1900. They're gonna the price point's going to change on that. If that makes any sense whatsoever, they're not going to bring that out, okay, and make it cheaper than the floor model, okay. It, like we were saying, when someone buys a rack unit, they're buying it because it's supposed to be bulletproof. It's got to be road ready, and it has to already be proven. It needs to work. So that means the price point's probably going to come in a little higher on it. I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence. Sweetwater's got one right now for basically $1,300 without the foot controller, and that's new. I don't know. It's a lot of money. It is. Do I get it and go, okay, and then a year? The way he was talking, it's going to be at least 6 months, and he told me straight up he's not sure. He's not even sure if Line 6 is going to make a stadium version in the rack. He said that they've talked to them about it, and they've mentioned it, just like Quad Cortex has mentioned it, but no one has said, yes, we're doing it. What he said was, on the last rack, it took 12 to 18 months before Yamaha Line 6 introduced the rack mount. So if that's the case, you're still looking at another, let's say, 5 to 12 months, 5 to 11 months before you would see a stadium rack. Okay. Quad Cortex, he says, has been talking about it for about 2 years. Does that mean it's going to come out next month? I don't know. And then again, we're about honesty here. How much better would it be? For what I'm doing, would the Helix rack mount be all I need? Or would I think, oh, I should have waited? And I'm really on the fence on it. I think the Helix rack would be fine. I think I take the Helix rack and I use my inline tube thing. It's going to be better than this HX Stomp, okay, because it's got more horsepower. And right now I'm really digging the HX Stomp. So I really shouldn't even think about it. I should just say, yeah, the Helix rack is really all I need. I am not out playing big places. Okay, I don't need the latest, greatest thing. And that's, again, that's why I try to be different here. I mean, if you want it, I get it. Get what you want. But I'm looking at it as, it's not like I am in dire need of it. The HX Stomp is working. My rack mount amp back there is working. I'm thinking if I get this, that's pretty much it. Okay. I can take that. I'm going to pull two pieces out of the rack. I'm going to pull my Synergy unit out, and I'll pull my line amp out, and that's going to be my new amplifier. Whether I use the Synergy tube section or not, or the Sedano tube section, it won't matter, because it's going to do a four-wire cable method into the Helix, and I'm going to have ours. So now I can instantly use my real tube amps again, right into much higher quality effects, right into the wing rack, because I'll have all my R's and everything will be there. I'll have a foot controller to control it all. And if I want, I still have main outs, then I can run to my 6L6 power amp to my 4-speaker enclosure if I plan on pissing off the neighbors. Works in both scenarios. What I have now doesn't. The Line 6 Stomp is just pretty much for streaming. I have no way of really playing it through a real guitar amp, so I play it through the PA system, through my PA speakers. Nothing wrong with that. The only way I can run my rack into the stream is through the new X-Pulse pedal. Is it bad? I don't think it's bad. We've done it a couple times on the stream. But it's time. It's time to look at it and make it work. Did I lose money? Absolutely not. Because my rack is so many years old and I'm still going to use it. I would still use it occasionally. But what I'm talking about doing, take the Synergy and then the Helix rack and all that, that's a kick butt amplifier. That's a kick butt amplifier. Now, I don't know how much modeling I could do on the Helix rack. And then if I wanted to go out and play somewhere, download it to my HX Stomp, I'm sure I would have to simplify it because there's not as much horsepower under the hood. But technically, as long as I keep it in moderation, I should be able to download a pretty close version right to the HX Stomp, throw that in the bag, and if I go somewhere, I'll have a proximity of what I'm using here at home. If I wanted to keep it simple, I could just put the Helix rack and my inline tube amp in it, and I'd have the tube color and just take that out. I could come right out to a little FRR speaker or a powered PA speaker on the stage so I can hear myself and then go front of house. So that works too. I don't know. I've been talking about it. You guys have been listening to me talk about that for, since the stream started. And I've yet to pull the trigger on it. So it may be 6 more months. I just wanted to bring it up to everyone's attention that I am thinking about it. And I think a lot of it has been all this A2 content that I've seen on YouTube and people talking about new modelers. Is that an Art 3000 behind you in the rack? It's an SGX 2000 Express. That's what's in the rack back here. It's kind of hard. I'm kind of in the way. So let me move my microphone. The very top unit, the very, very top unit is a Line 6 relay that has been modified. So it has the new transmitter that is sped spectrum technology that hops frequencies. So that's my relay for my wireless. Right underneath of that, the second black unit right here with all the knobs, that's my Synergy SYN2. The unit on this side is a Friedman BE Deluxe. The unit on this side is a Sedano SLO. The black and pink, that's my SGX 2000 Express with the 3.2 EEPROM chip. Okay. Below that, the silver unit, that's an Audio Media Research line amp, and it uses 312AX7s. They were originally used for ADAT recording to warm up the sound. I use it to warm up the art and my digital effects. Below that is a BBE Sonic Maximizer, and it is a twin channel, so it's stereo, even though it only has 2 controls. And then my Pro Valve BK Butler 6L6 power amp by TubeWorks. The cabinet here is a 4-speaker Celestion 20-watt cabinet. So that's my rig. In the rack to my left, which I don't know if you'll all be able to see tonight. Yeah. So let me turn over here. You can see there's more pink. That is a non-express unit right here. This is an SGX just 2000. So on the very bottom of the rack, that's a Yamaha P7000 power amp. Then I have the new Crown 1502 power amp, the SGX 2000. There's another Audio Media Research inline tube amp, exact same thing that's in the rack. Above that is my 4U Behringer wing rack. So that's our mixing console. Above that is my 16-channel patch bay XLR. And then the silver unit with the 2 lights, that's basically my line conditioner. So it's actually varying the voltage of the house. So if the voltage goes above 115, it brings it to 115. If it drops below 115, it brings it up. If it stays low, it can't. But little tiny dips and stuff like that, it does help. Up here are all my compressors and gates. I have just as many of these downstairs that I have in here. I just have a couple of them in here. Mayato time clock is at the very top. S2000, Mini Verb 4, another S2000, and then the MEQ 230 Plus Spectrum Analyzer. So that's pretty much everything. This is my AG08 interface. The little thing right there with all the white buttons on it, that's my Mini Pro. Okay, and then the silver box next to that, of course, is the Line 6 stop. And then the thing with all the blue lights, that's the MXR, and I got some pedals up there. Alesis control monitors, and the big speakers you see on the floor are Wolfdales. So that's pretty much the setup. And then behind me is a DP30 and an Akai MPC61 and my 2-speaker Celestion V30 cabinet. So over 30 years of collecting and playing, it's a lot of equipment. Right here you can see that's my SWR bass amp, and that's the 210 with the horn cabinet. And then that's Linnell's amp. That's a GTX 100. The far corner, the lime green amplifier, that's my blown up Blackstar. It no longer works. Egg Gator, that is a PV Penta cabinet, and of course my rack. The 2 pieces of equipment up there, that's a Tascam DA30 digital audio tape mastering machine. And then above that is a Sabian rack mount tuner.
Birdman wants to know, where's your cocoa?
I don't know where my cocoa is. Actually, we forgot to make it. I mean, that's what I was saying, guys. That's a pretty good sound. So I'm not saying that sounds as good as a Quad Cortex would sound, and it's YouTube. So in reality, the difference between me getting the Helix rack and the Quad Cortex, I'm going to say it would be a vanity thing. I mean, would I hear the difference? I think I would. Would you guys hear the difference? Maybe a little. Would it be to the point where you guys go, oh man, that Helix just sucks compared to that Quad Cortex? I don't think so. I think even if I plug in $100 Vailton, if you EQ it right and you set it up right, I really think you can get a good sound out of it. Can you get a ton of good sounds out of it? That's where I think your cheaper equipment kind of falls short. It may do a couple things really well, but is it going to do a lot of cleans, a lot of ambient stuff, the modeling stuff? It's there's a reason, we say it all the time. It's a reason why the product costs what the product costs. If it would yield more money because it was that good, they would sell it for more. And I love getting on the typical YouTube channels, and I lurk in the background and I watch them review budget guitars. We're not picking on any brand. You pick the budget brand. You know, I don't know if it's the people just have never played the guitar through a nice amp and a nice guitar through a nice amp, or they've played a nice guitar through a cheaper amp and then they plug a budget guitar in and it sounds about the same. I don't know their skill level. But when I hear people say, I have a $200 guitar and it plays just as good and sounds just as good as a Gibson, I got to say, no, it doesn't. Even if it plays as good, it's not going to sound as good. Okay? The quality of the hardware is not going to be as good. We're not going to talk about how much better the Gibson is. You know, if the Gibson's $3,000, I can buy 15 of the $200 guitars. So even if that $200 guitar is a complete turd and all the components in it suck and only last 2 years, I got 15 of them. So it should last me 30 years. Is that Gibson going to last me 30 years? Does that kind of make sense? I don't think you can look at it that way. I think you have to look at it as, if you have a nice amp, yes, I think you can hear the difference between a nice high quality DiMarzio or a Seymour Duncan, or name your pickup, Fluence, whatever your cup of tea is. Dylan Talk Tone pickups, I love those. Whatever your cup of tea is, if you plug it into a nice amplifier or a nice modeler, whether it's a Headrush or a Quad Cortex or, you know, whatever it is, I think, yes, you're going to hear the difference. I just get on, I hear people say that, and I think it's unfair. Okay? I've made mistakes here. You know, when I bought equipment, I've tried to go cheap a couple times, and every time I try to go cheap on something that I just need to work, it usually bites me in the butt. And when I find something that's inexpensive that seems to work, I say, look, this thing's working great. The MXR, I'm going to say that's cheap. Even though it was $180 for an EQ pedal, I'd say that's cheap. In today's world, $180 stomp pedal, pretty cheap. The Super Overdrive, the SD1, it's an $80 pedal. I think it sounds great. Goodbye. I'm going to call out the Super Chorus, the SH1, $131. I'm going to say pass. And it's not that it sounds bad. It's not that it's distorted. It's just not a thick, luscious chorus that I am used to. It's not a tri-stereo chorus. Of course, it doesn't say that it's a tri-stereo. It just says super chorus. For me, in that 80s sound that I like, the super chorus just doesn't get it. I'm not saying it's bad. If you want a little chorus wash in your background and you've never had a stereo chorus, you'll probably, this is where I'm going with this, you'll probably think, wow, that's a $130 pedal. It's as good as any rack mount chorus. And it's not. It doesn't have the thick structure that a tri-stereo or dual chorus or a quad chorus has. It's not as airy. But I don't think that's what Boss was designing the pedal to do.
Robert says, I have a super chorus. Totally agree with you, Avery.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of the ones that I would get. But the SD1, it's got a sound.
Mr. Fat said, we need good gear so we can sound our best live. We need to ditch the cheapo stuff.
Yeah. And I, I try not to use the term cheap anymore. I try to use affordable. Okay. And I try to label cheap as the junk, if that makes sense.
Wicked Fester says his head rush has a multi-voice chorus. He has it set for 3, but can do more.
Yeah, I think 3 is the sweet spot. If you can emulate the tri-stereo chorus for doing 80s rock, okay, we're talking 80s rock, the tri-stereo chorus will get you there quicker with less effort. The quad can do it too. The issue I have with the quad, you can quickly get it to where it's just too much. I'm not saying that you can't with the tri-stereo, you can, but for me, I can get that 80s wash chorus sound much quicker with the tri-stereo chorus. That's just me. You know, just wanted to point that out. Another pedal that I think is okay. This little NuX Edge. Focus. Is it a bad little pedal? No. I think I paid $85 for this thing. Nope. Paid $79 for it. Sticker still on it. Is it bad? No. If you've got, like my little Egnator over there, you want to go somewhere, the Egnator reverb kicks butt. It's got the destiny and density, and you got your fat low switches. Take that amp, take this little pedal, put it in the effects loop. The Egnator comes with a 2-button channel switcher. Go play. Playing in a small bar, that Egnator with this sounds phenomenal.
Ryan says, what do you think of the Ibanez BTB805MS bass workshop? I'm considering getting it.
Can you look that up for me, honey, and bring me a picture of that? That's a lot of letters. Ibanez, I think, is just a good company. Even their Geos, okay? You can buy a Geo for $210, their guitars. I mean, how can you complain? I mean, is the guitar going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But let's compare it to Leo James. You know, Firefly, Leo James, both of them. Most of their guitars now are $250 to $300. So now let's look at the Ibanez at $210. I guarantee you the fret will be equivalent or better. Okay, and I guarantee you the pickups will be better. Ooh. That's pretty. Now, if you're here, if you're a member on Discord, I can tell you the man to ask on this that's probably played it, and that's Brian that I do Tech Talk with. They're an Ibanez dealer. That's a beautiful guitar. That is freaking beautiful. I think they've got the exact same. Ooh, the one I like more, I'm going to hold this up. Yours is going to be on this side, the darker one. I like the one in the natural finish. Yeah, it's not going to show it. There's one that has a burl top that's blonde. I guess it's the. Let me click on it. See what the model number of this one is. It's the BTB 805 MS 5-string. Floral, natural low gloss. That's a beautiful guitar. It's same guitar, just different finish. Ibanez makes awesome basses, man. Brian, he's a guitar tech, bass player. He just bought a new bass, okay? Let it out of the bag. He's bringing it next time. It's an Ibanez. It's an awesome bass. He works on them all day long, and he picked Ibanez. So go to Discord, put a picture of that in it, and put attention. I think it's Lobster Bash is what he goes by on Discord, and you two can talk about it. If you're thinking about getting it, you know, I guarantee you they've had one in, and he's serviced it and set them up before it goes out on the floor. So he can tell you if there's any issues at all with that guitar, because he's most likely worked on it. The Ibanez he bought is like it's white that has like a black grain in it. It's what they call it. It's the ash body that's been walnut blasted. It's freaking awesome. And each saddle is individually machined into the body of the guitar. It is stupid nice. But I don't want to run it completely for you guys, but that's what he decided to buy was Ibanez. So when it comes to basses, I don't think you go wrong with Ibanez. You know, the bass I have is a Squire. If I'm looking at a bass now, there was a bass at Shenandoah Music today, and they've got it on closeout. It's in what do you call that color? Is that seafoam green?
Yeah.
It's seafoam green, and it's a Schecter. And they got it on closeout now for, was it $5.99?
I think so.
I think it's $5.99. They're just trying to get rid of it. And I picked it up, and I'm like, my gosh, this is a freaking nice bass. I think it's normally like $8.99 or something, or $9.50. They got it. They just want to move it. And I agree with that. If you've got a store and you got a product that's just not moving, people come into that store every week like I do. If they don't see things moving, people think there's nothing going on there. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the product being bad. Maybe it's just the wrong time for that bass to be there. The right person hasn't walked in and said, wow, I got to have it. I picked this thing up, and it just played so nice. And the way the pickups are in just the perfect spot. There's no thumb position seat. I bonded with it. And I got a guitar on layaway. And I know it's not going to be there, but I told it was Jason. No, I think it was Matt.
Yeah.
No, it was Jason.
Well, you talked to both of them today.
I don't remember which one I said it to, but I told him if I get my layaway paid off and it's still there, I want it. At that price, I don't imagine that bass is going to be there. You know, every time I walk into the store, I see something, I pick things up. There's so many good guitars. And that brings me back to when I go to these other channels. Understand what you're buying when you buy a budget instrument. It's a budget instrument. You know, if you're starting out or if you just need a beater guitar to go out on stage with, I think you can do a little work to those guitars and they can become good beaters, you know, stage beaters. What I always tell people is if you're spending X and you fill in the budget brand at $250 and you got to level all the frets and you got to put tuners on it and pickups in it and all this other stuff, why not just buy an RGA or an S model? Or Schecter makes that C1 at $399. That's a nice guitar for $400. Jackson makes a couple really nice guitars at the $400, $450. Is it perfect? No. But it's a far better instrument and you don't have to mess with it. That's why at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about the S model and the RGA. Take either one of those out and jam them. You don't need to do anything. That's a dependable guitar that you're in a band. If it gets stolen, if it gets dropped, I'm not saying $450 isn't a lot of money, but I would rather have that destroyed than my $1,700 Mach 6 Schecter neck through. So if I'm in a bar playing, am I taking my Schecter? Absolutely not. I'm not taking my Schecter. I'm going to take that RGA or one of my other lesser expensive guitars. I don't even think I would take this one. And this is a $750 guitar. I'm liking this guitar so much that I don't know if I would risk taking the guitar out and someone screwing it up on stage. I have other guitars that play as good that I bond with, that I have less money in, that I could take out and play. And if it does something catastrophic happen to it, I wouldn't break down and cry, if that makes sense. Linnell's just in here giggling, so I'm curious what you guys are going over.
Talking about my hair.
Yeah, she got a haircut today.
Well, I got it trimmed today. I got to cut my long hair off a few months ago.
Yeah, she cut her long hair. Well, it's been longer. It's probably been 5 months ago.
Well, I don't know. I said a few months.
Yeah, it's probably been 5 months ago she cut her all. I think she was just tired of dealing with it.
Basically.
Yeah, you know. But I got strange for the first month. Sorry, I had to go there because that's what I was telling. It's like, okay, give me some strange because she looks totally different. She's still cute. I like it. I like it. I like it.
I'm cute. Puppies are cute.
Okay, she's cute and sexy. I like it though. Maybe it's just because she's always had long hair. So it's something completely different and it's easier for her. I'm okay with it. Again, remember what we were saying. Give and take. So even if I don't necessarily like it, if it works for her and that's what she wants, it's her hair. I love her either way. Now, if she does the Sinead O'Connor thing, I might have to say something about it.
That's why I was laughing because
I'm just saying.
Devastator.
I might not be able to do the Sinead O'Connor thing.
Well, Birdman said a curly Q would look nice on me, he bet. And Devastator said we're talking about Linnell Birdman. She can make bald look good.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I could do bald.
I don't know.
I'd have to invest in some wigs.
Yeah, you may for at least 2 or 3 months because I don't think I could do that. Literally in every scenario that you could take that. It would have to at least grow out to at least the GI cut.
Oh God, I can't do it.
I don't even know. It's what she does now. It's cool because it's long and it kind of flaps over. I don't know.
It's a pixie cut. What I have.
Right. Pixie cut. That's what I need to get.
Oh God.
Well, they give me purple and orange hair. I could have a pixie cut. I could make a pixie cut work.
Ryan had said, have you noticed a tone difference between the bolt on versus the neck through? Or versus the through body neck?
I mean, they sound completely different. It's 2 completely different guitars. One of the smartest guys that ever built instruments. He built BC Rich back when BC Rich was BC Rich hasn't been BC Rich. I forget the guy's name, but it's back when BC Rich were all handmade. His opinion is the best sounding guitar is a bolt-on. Second best sounding guitar as far as resonance is a set neck, and the neck through is the worst. Me personally, I don't know. The Schecter, that's the only true neck through that I own. It has a lot of sustain, 100%.
And Mr. Fatsett said for Avery, whom does he think is buying those $8,000 guitars to gig with?
I don't know. I mean, if you're a doctor or a lawyer and you have a +6, figure income, you got to look at it in relation. Like Devastator bought a very nice guitar. It's a $3,000 guitar. Well, let's say a lawyer making $300,000 a year. Well, for him, that's like, us or me spending $3 or $4 grand on a guitar. He makes 2 or 3 times the money. So he could spend 2 or 3 times the money on the guitar. So I think it's relative to your income, if that makes sense. That's why I think Fender Custom Shop, Gibson Custom Shop, I don't see professional working musicians playing those. I see that as someone that just wants to buy a Gibson that wants it a certain way, or a Fender, and this qualifies with Jackson and all of them. You can order a $7,000 custom shop Jackson. It's just something you want. Or a $5,000 or $6,000 Kiesel. If you want X and that company has everything that you want and you have the income, It's what you want. That's why I was saying I've always wanted a Gibson Les Paul with P90s. I want one, but right now it's like $3,000 the cheapest price. And if you want a nice one, it's about 55 for like a nice one. That's just too much money for me to spend on a guitar. It is. I can buy several of these, and I enjoy playing this guitar. And the tremolo holds tune. I think it's got great pickups. It's got locking tuning keys. I would rather buy 10 of these or 15 of these versus paying $5,000 for the Gibson. That's just me. Is there a difference? I'm sure there is. Is the Gibson a higher quality? It should be. It should be a higher quality. But is it? Everyone knows Gibson's kind of hit and miss on their quality. Sometimes there's pain on the binding where they didn't tape it off right. Gibson's probably the worst one to look at. We'll put it on Kiesel. If I buy a $6,000 Kiesel, is that $6,000 Kiesel going to play better than that Jackson Virtuoso that we reviewed 7 or 8 months ago? Odds are it's not. It may feel a little different, but as far as notes fretting out, sustain, and the quality of the instrument, I'm going to say both of those guitars are nice quality guitars. Does the Jackson have all the bells and whistles that the Kiesel's going to have if you went in and custom did it at $5,000? No. Yeah, it's not going to have the fancy lumen lay dots and the fancy inlays or the fancy paint job or whatever that you put on that Kiesel to customize it. The Jackson is a production based guitar. They're all made the same, but I think they're quality. And I think if you played them side by side, you would have to say, I can buy 2.5 of these Jacksons for the price of the Kiesel.
Robert Avery, have you ever played an EVH signature? I'd like to try one.
The only EVH guitar I've ever played is the one that looks like the PVHP or the Access. And I liked it. The one I played was an import. And to be honest with you, it shocked me when I picked it up because the neck was really thick and chunky. And I was really surprised that this EVH, it was a Wolfgang. It was like $900. So it wasn't a really high-end Wolfgang. It's probably lower tier. I don't know what the Wolfgang sell for. This was at Guitar Center. But the neck was chunky. And that really made me go, this is I was figuring it would be at least maximum thickness 60s, Les Paul thickness. But the neck on it made me feel like it was chunkier than that. It was thick. So that's the only one I ever played. It played nice. I think it sounded fine. Just not my cup of tea with the thick neck on it. That doesn't mean they're all the same. There's been a couple times I go to the store and I see I guess it's the Frankenstrat. I've just never picked one up and played it. You got to think it's Fender. So if you like EVH and you're going after the Strat and you're saying it plays good, you should probably look at a Charvel. It's made on the same production line. It's the exact same guitar. Just different paint, a little different here, a little different. But they're not retooling to make EVH over Charvel.
Brett of Andy said, yeah, the EVH necks are like a 2x4.
Yeah, I thought it was very thick. It kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting it. And I did a double take. I was like, what in the world? And I'm picking it up. I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, that's chunky. I always thought it would be a thinner, more shred type neck. And then there's other people I've spoke to, and it could be why I have issues. I'm not saying wrong, right, or whatever. There's people that claim the really thin shred necks give you finger cramps. because of the way your finger positioning is, and the thicker neck causes less cramps. I really can't speak to that because we don't really have too many guitars here with thick necks. The thickest neck here would probably be Linnell's IYV. She's got an IP 300, which I think is a great guitar, but it's a pretty thick neck. I love playing that guitar. I don't have an issue with it. I can, if you give me 5 or 10 minutes, I can acclimate to it. You know, even if I'm playing like one of the Ibanez shreddy wizard necks, if I go right over and I pick up that IYV IP300, it may feel a little funny at first, but give me 5 or 10 minutes playing it, and then I'm not even thinking about it. It doesn't cross my mind, if that makes sense. PRS necks. You know, every PRS, and I'm not saying even Devastators, and Devastator bought that guitar because it's his cup of tea. That PRS, not my cup of tea. Well, I'm going to say most PRSs aren't my cup of tea. But I'm going to give PRS one thing. I have yet to pick one up that just was junk. When I say junk, I don't mean like crappy as far as hardware. I mean junk like they just slapped it together. Even the imports. The fit and finish, the quality of the components, the way they play, that they're just good instruments. And I'm even saying the $499 one down at Guitar Center. At $500, if you pick up every $500 guitar in that store and you compare it to that PRS, I'm not talking about the sound, just play them and look at how well the paint and how it fits. That PRS is always going to be in the top. It may not be the best because there could be something better, but it's always going to land in the top 10%. They're just well-crafted guitars, even the cheaper import stuff.
Michael said, have you ever tried a Slash Les Paul? That's a thick neck.
No, I've never played the Slash. I did play the Epiphone Greenie, so I don't know what the Greenie has on it. I played an Epiphone Greenie at Guitar Center. I like the Greenie. I wasn't, at the time, they were like, couldn't keep the Epiphone Greenie in stock. It was like $1,300 because everyone was price gouging it because everyone had to have the Epiphone Greenie. I didn't buy it, but it was a cool guitar.
Brenda Vandy says, I compare necks to my Nitro and Vandy necks, which are very similar to the Ibanez Wizard necks, thin and fast.
Yeah, I like the PV cut on both of those guitars. Those are nice necks. I think they're a little flatter than the Wizard. Okay, at least my two are feeling that way. I don't have one of the thin Wizards though. Most of my Wizards, I think, are Wizard 2s. I think on most of the Ibanezes that I play are Wizard 2s. So I got a Wizard 1, Wizard 2, and a Wizard 3. And I couldn't tell you which one the thinnest. Maybe I do have the thinner one. I don't think mine are the super thin, the Wizard 2. My Firefly LP is borderline. It has a thick neck. The one that has the ash body that's been sandblasted, those had the thinner neck. And Linnell has a Firefly Les Paul that has more of the 50s style neck. That was before Firefly was really popular. They were just selling on Amazon. They had no website. That has conventional frets on it. That guitar has a chunkier neck. So they've changed it. Wizard 3 is the thinnest. Yeah, all mine are Wizard 2s. So I really can't compare it. I know the Nitro and my Vandenberg are thinner. And they're flatter in the back. Right here, it's flatter. Like the Ibanez 2, I can still feel the roundness here. Now this one's even more round. But I like the neck on this guitar. This isn't shreddy thin. I guess I'm really getting to the point where And it could be because I just review and I play so many different guitars. I'm not as apt to be thrown off now, whether it's chunky, thin, or it's a D shape or it's a C shape. And I know some people are like, oh, I can't play that. It just kills me. That's too thin. I can't play a thin neck. Uh, Sometimes I got to think about when I first started the channel, how these different profiles and how I reacted. So a lot of it, guys, I had someone make a comment. It seemed like you were more excited back the first 6 months. Maybe, but I'm far more educated now on what to look for and what these companies are doing, if that makes sense. I think at first I was excited because it was something new. And I was seeing things that I didn't necessarily ever pay attention to or didn't notice, I guess. But now that we've reviewed, a lot of guitars on this channel, I guess now when I look at things, I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before. Who did it better? Is this a good interpretation of it? How's it feel? And as far as playing, I think I've just played so many different neck profiles that I adjust more quickly now. And I'm not going to say that that's a good thing. I'm a firm believer if you want to be a really, really awesome guitar player, you need to keep the guitar as consistent as possible because you become adjusted in how the neck feels, your thumb placement. I think that does make a difference. It really does. It probably hurts me picking up so many different guitars, jamming on it, setting it down, then picking up another type of guitar that's a completely different neck profile, responds completely different to pick attack, then playing that and then picking up another one. Uh, I think if you're really wanting to be your bee's knees and learn quickly, pick a guitar that's comfortable for you, that fits you, and play it. And get used to it and learn it like the back of your hand. Close your eyes, and I haven't done this for a while. So close your eyes and try to play the song. See there? I lost it. Just close your eyes and find the one that fits you. Because you're not going to realize it. After you play that guitar for 6 months, you'll be able to do that. You're just going to... You just got to practice, practice, and practice, and practice. If you can play it with your eyes closed, you can play the song. If you can't play it with your eyes closed, you can't play the song. You can't play it well enough, in my opinion, to play it out. And that's how I learned every song the band played. I tried to be able to learn that song with my eyes closed. And it's really hard to do that if you've got one guitar over here that's 25.5 inch scale length. This guitar over here is 24.75, because when you go to pull down on that note, you're going to have a time where you miss fret because the scale length has changed. And if you can do it and you're that seasoned of a player, because believe me, guys, they're out there. There's a guy that can go from a baritone to a 24.75 to a 25, play it blindfolded, and won't skip a note. If you're that guy, 100% you rock, and what I consider you're a master. Are you still learning? Sure. You're still learning. That's what I think why we're all so addicted to it. It doesn't matter how good you get. There's going to be something that you're going to be like, how'd that dude do that? And it's going to be something that you're going to want to learn. It's hard to find something that always gives you a challenge. If you're willing to take on that challenge, the guitar, bass, drums, keys, it's always something there that you can learn that'll challenge your skill set in one way or another. Believe me, guys. All right. We have been streaming for quite a long time. I want to thank every one of you for coming in to the stream. I see a lot of laughy faces, so they must be laughing at me playing the guitar closed-eyes. The only way to show you is to do it. If I mess up, I mess up. The whole part in the live is, can someone play? I mean, I can sit here and riff and do things, but there's certain things, and I don't play out anymore. I'm too rusty to play out. I would really have to sit down and really, put on the seatbelt and start practicing 100% if I wanted to go out and play out again. Because one, standing with the guitar and playing it is different. Okay? Not only is it different, but now you have the weight of the instrument on your shoulder for at least an hour. You're on your feet for at least an hour. Okay? All these things change your perception of the instrument in your hands. I would need to start standing up again, start playing the guitar, figuring out my position, get my effects set up for my foot controllers. There's so much. It's not just about playing. It's about your reaction to the crowd, your eye contact, how you're moving. There's so much to live performing. It's not just knowing the song. It's you being an artist and a performer. Okay? And I think the people that we go out and we see that are just phenomenal, they're the whole package. Name someone that isn't the whole package that when you left it, you said, man, that dude was awesome. Why was he awesome? He could play. He had good stage presence. He had a good attitude. And he just put on a good show. That's a performer. I've went places and I've heard guys just sit there and phenomenal guitar player, horrible show. Because he sat there like a mummy in one spot on the stage just shredding, not even looking at the audience. The dude could play. I'm not saying he can't play, but I have no interest in sitting there listening to some dude play 120 quarter notes per minute and cram 1,000 notes in a measure. Especially sitting there watching his fingers. That's not me. I want to go somewhere where they're kicking it up a notch. They're talking to you. They're bringing their A game. And when you leave there, you're like, those guys were awesome. I'm entertained. I was entertained. I didn't turn around at the bar and just order another beer and talk to the person next to me. I'm in the chair and I'm watching them. Why? It's entertaining. That's how I judge things. And that's where I would fall short and I would need to work again. You gotta be the whole thing. All right, guys, again, I want to thank everyone for coming in. If you left a super chat, thank you so much. That's what funds the channel and allows us to buy the guitars to give away. Real quick, that's a Cort 280 Select. It's a basically $600 guitar. We're giving it away when we hit 3,000 subscribers. It's really simple. You just have to be publicly subscribed to the channel. That way one of the moderators can verify that you're a channel subscriber. That's the only reason for it. You have to go over to Discord, go in the 280 Select Guitar Giveaway Room, fill out the little form so the computer automatically enters you when we do the drawing, and that's it. Great guitar. Whoever wins it, you tell me the setup. I'll set up the guitar, put new strings on it for you, and send it to you. If you want it as is and you want to do your own setup, I get it. But if you win it, I'll do a setup for you if you tell me what you like. All right, guys, remember, keep the conversation going here. I like Discord too. But there's times, guys, where y'all need to come to YouTube and have the conversation in the comment section. YouTube actually likes that. It likes to see comments, just like when y'all are chatting. The more you guys chat, that takes the chat rate up, and hopefully it puts the stream in front of someone new that hasn't seen it. They'll click in and kind of get the show. That's what we're trying to do. All right, guys, we're going to do our 5-minute ending window. And I'm going to say, who wants to hear a different song tonight? We have 3 ending songs for the ending window. So last Thursday we did one. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do a different ending window. We're going to do the funky one. Female techno metal. Yes, it's AI, but I'm saying it's AI. So don't chastise me like Diodario. I wrote the lyrics and I helped Suno write this. And there's a lot to it. I just didn't put the lyrics in it and hit and load it. It actually took about 3 nights of going in, changing the chorus arrangement, telling it to slow down, to change and take this section and put over here. You can actually do quite a bit at Suno, but it is still AI. So we're going to do the female tech vocal thing. Again, thanks guys, and I'll see everyone Thursday night. And remember, come back, thumbs up, and subscribe.
On how it really is. No bullshit and no clickbait. No kickbacks or affiliate ties. It's time for music and gear to tell it how it is. Where else or who else does what he does when they are propping up a dud and pitching a sales line. Music and gear is telling it straight by telling it how it is. Here it is again, telling it like it is. You know the truth cuts through the noise. You can keep the polished pitch. We don't play along. We can write our own song. Yeah. It's music and gear, no soft pitch and bullshit. It's never the same. Once you see the truth, the hard facts on how it really is. Music and gear calling out all the spin. We'll open it up and we'll look inside. Music and gear is telling it straight by telling it how it is. We won't play along. We can write a new song. It's time for music and gear to tell it how it is. Where else or who else does what he does when they are propping up a dud and pitching a sales line. Music and gear is telling it straight.